So another quick video showing the answer to a question asked by svanweelden over on the Community Spiceworks forum. Svanweelden, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, asked that question. Trying to compare two columns in Excel. The first IP column is the IP address export of a WINS servers, or WINS addresses rather. And the second column is an export of DNS addresses. It wants to know if all the IP addresses, or ip-addressen, I'm guessing it's not English, in WINS are available in DNS. Having trouble finding out the right syntax. So there was various answers to this, but nothing that seemed to answer it. Thankfully, svanweelden provided a download copy of the Excel file, which is always helpful if you need a question answering. If you can provide an example or an Excel file that we can work from, it's always easier. So, Mr. Vanweelden, I believe this is what you're looking for. So, I've taken your sheet exactly as it was, WINS addressing, DNS addressing, and BLAD6, which appears to be just both. And all I have done is added in this extra column in the WINS addressing sheet. Now, what this does, I'll just take this filter off. I've added a data filter up at the top, which you can just do by clicking filter. Just allows you to filter it, strangely enough. And all it does is looks for this address in this table, and if it's there, it'll say yes, and if it's not, it'll say no. Prove that just by, let's pick one at random. This here, let's do a search in this sheet for that address. And there it is. So that's a yes. And likewise, if we take a note, I'm going to search in the DNS sheet. It's not there. So you can then, once you've got this, filter it down to which addresses are not. They're all the ones that are not in the DNS. So how do we do it? Right. It's reasonably simple. We're going to use three functions: if, ISERROR, and VLOOKUP. If we break it down a little bit, the VLOOKUP is looking up this value. So the VLOOKUP of whatever's in A2 in the DNS address list even, and it's looking in that full column of data. So right from there, from A1 right down to A2588, which is the end of the sheet. 2500. So even though these weren't IP addresses, I still told it to look all the way down. It's obviously not, that's not a real IP address. But, so it's going to do a VLOOKUP on those, and the false just means it's going to match it exactly. It's going to return, it's going to look in column 1. So it's going to return if it's an error, in which case we've just blanked it off. And so what it's saying is, if this VLOOKUP returns an error, say no, or if this VLOOKUP returns not an error, say yes, if that makes any sense. It's kind of backwards logic. So it's looking for this address in here. If it's there, it will say yes, and if it's not, it will say no. So once you've got that in the first column, all you need to do it for is A2. You just grab the corner of that square, drag it all the way down your sheet, right to the end. Thankfully there's not 2,500 lines in this one. I did do this, there's 1.5. There you go. All done. And then, as I say, you can filter it for just the yeses or filter it for just the no's. What you're going to then use it for, I don't know, but that's up to you. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Vanweelden. If not, give us a shout back. I'd be glad to help a little bit more if I can and I've got the time. Otherwise, make sure you mark it as a best answer. Really appreciate it. Cheers for watching. Take care.